Hello and welcome to my bonus paper for the EDEXCEL GCSE Maths Foundation Paper 2. For this question we need to round the number to the nearest hundred. So let's write the number out. Then we need to find which digit is in the hundreds column, that's the 7 here. Then draw a line after the 7 and check the number after that line. So we're going to check this 5. Since this is 5 or greater we're going to round up. So the 7 will become an 8, so the answer is 6,800. For question 2, we need to write 0.06 as a percentage. To change a decimal to a percentage, all you do is multiply by 100. So 0.06 times 100, and you have a calculator for this paper, remember, that will give you 6%. An 8-sided shape is called an octagon, so this is a regular octagon. And a straight line that touches the outside of the circle in one place is known as a tangent. For this question, we're looking for the number that's not a multiple of 3. Now if you divide all of these numbers by 3, you'll find they give you whole number answers apart from the number 34. So the number 34 is not a multiple of 3. For part B, we need to find a number that's a multiple of 4 and 5. So you can use the same tactic again, or the lowest common multiple of 4 and 5 is 20, so we're looking for a number in the 20 times table. So 20, 40, or 60, and so on. So the answer happens to be 60, because when you divide it by 4 and 5, you get whole number answers. To put these numbers in order of size, it's easier to see them on a number line. If we mark a cross where each of the numbers is, then it becomes clear that -6 is the smallest, then it's -2, then -1, then 4, then 5. For part B, we need to put some fractions in order of size. Now remember, you have a calculator for this paper, so I'd suggest converting them all to decimals. So for 3/4, do 3 divided by 4, which is 0.75. For 2/3, do 2 divided by 3, which is 0.6 recurring. 1/6 is 1 divided by 6, which is 0.16 recurring. And then 7/12, 7 divided by 12, which is 0.583 recurring. Now we can look at the decimal places to see which one's the smallest. So the smallest is 1/6, we'll cross that off. Then 7/12, then 2/3, and finally the largest is 3/4. For part A, we need to find a line that's perpendicular to the line DC. The word perpendicular means meets at right angles, so if we mark on the line DC, you can see the line that makes a right angle with that is line AF. For part B, we're looking for a line that's parallel to AB. Parallel lines never meet, so if we mark on AB, we're looking for another line that would never meet this line if we extended them, and that would be the line EC here, so the answer is EC. We'll start this question by finding the median. The median is the middle number when they're in order. Fortunately, the numbers are already in order, so we can cross them off in pairs, like this, until we get to the middle number. So the middle number is 15, so the median is 15. Now let's look at the mode. The mode is the most frequent number, the one that's in the list the most. And if you look through the list carefully, you should spot that 35 comes up 3 times, so the mode is 35. Now we need to write this as a ratio, so it would be 15 to 35, and it also says give it in simplest form, so we're looking for a common factor. Both of these divide by 5, so if you divide 15 by 5 you get 3, and 35 by 5 you get 7. So in its simplest form it's 3 to 7. For part A of this question, we need to find the output when the input is 20. So we'll start with 20, and then the machine says take away 2. So 20 take away 2, that's 18. And next the machine says times by 4. So 18 times by 4, and that gives you 72. So that's the answer. For part B though, we need to find the input, but we're told the output. This time we're going backwards through the number machine. So we're going to go backwards and change all of the operations to the inverse. So rather than multiply by 4, we'll divide by 4, and then rather than take away 2, we'll add 2. So we'll start with -6 and divide it by 4. This gives you -1.5, and then we'll take that and add 2. So -1.5 add 2 is 0.5, and that's the answer. Remember, you do have a calculator for this question to help. In this question, Tom's buying 1 regular chips and 2 large chips, and we've got the prices for those above. So if we do £1.95 for the regular chips, add 2 lots of £2.95, that gets us the total amount spent on chips, which is £7.85. Now we're told he spends £12.65 in total, and we also know he buys some cans of drink. So if we do £12.65, take away the amount he spent on chips, we get £4.80. This means he must have spent £4.80 on cans of drink. Now we're told in the question cans of drink cost 60 pence, so if we do £4.80 divided by 60 pence, we get 8. So the answer to the question is 8 cans of drink. In this question you need to measure the height of the house and the height of the tree. So if you place your ruler on the page, you'll find the house is roughly 6 centimeters tall, and the tree comes out at about 15 centimeters tall. Next we need to decide how many times bigger the tree is compared to the house. So if you do 15 divided by 6, you'll get 2.5. This means it's 2.5 times bigger. Now we're told in the question the house is 6 meters tall. So if we take 6 meters and times that by 2.5, we get an estimate for the height of the tree, which is 15 meters. For this question we need to work out which day Year 11 received the least number of detentions. Now if you look at the key for this question, there's two types of shading. There's the stripe shading and the solid fill. So if you look at the one for Year 11, that's the solid fill, so we're only looking at the bottom part of each of the bars. If you look at the bottom part of each of the bars, you can see the one with the least total is Wednesday, so it's Wednesday. For part B, we need to add up all of the detentions for Year 7 and for Year 11. Let's do Year 11 first. So if we're looking at the solid filled in bars, we've got 4 add 4 add 2 add 6 add 4, which gets you 20. If we then look at the ones that are striped, you've got 3 add 4 add 10, and there's 0 on Thursday, add 8. If you add all of these up, you get 25. So we know Year 7 was more, but how much more? Well, if you do 25 take 20, you get the answer 5. In this question, we're told 1/3 of the students passed English. Now there are 30 students altogether, so you do 30 divided by 3, which gets you 10. So 10 students passed English. Now if you look at the English column here, this needs to make a total of 30, so we do 30 take 10, which gets you 20. We're told in the question that in total 42 exams were failed, so we can go to the total column for fail and put a 42 in there. Now if you look at the bottom total column where it's 30 for each subject, all of these added together must get us the total. So if we do 30 add 30 add 30, we get the overall total as 90. Now if we look at the total column here, these two numbers must add to make 90, so 90 take 42 gives you 48. Next we're told in the question the same number of students pass maths as pass science. So if we look at the pass row here, these three numbers must make 48. So if we do 48 take 10 first, that gets us 38, so maths and science must add up to 38. But we were told the same number of students passed them. So if we do 38 divided by 2, we get 19. So they must both be 19. Now if we look at the maths column, these two numbers must add to make 30, so 30 take 19 is 11. And the same thing happens for science. These two must make 30, so 30 take 19 is 11. For this question we're told Clyde needs 2.5 tins and that Bonnie needs 3/4 of that amount. So if Clyde needs 2.5 tins and Bonnie needs 3/4 of this, we just times this by 3/4, which if you do on your calculator will give you 15/8. So Bonnie needs 15/8 of a tin and Clyde needs 2.5 tins. If we take these two amounts and add them together, we find out how much is needed each day. So 2.5 plus 15/8, again use your calculator for this, gives you 35/8. So this is how much is needed each day, but we're asked in the question for 7 days. So we take this number, multiply it by 7, and you'll get 245/8, or as a decimal, 30.625. Now remember, we're going to buy tins here. You can't buy 0.625 of a tin, so we're going to need to buy the next tin rounded up. So it'll be 31 tins. In this question, we need to work out a percentage profit. We do that using the formula change divided by original times 100. So the change is how much the price has changed. So it was £35 and now it's £46.20. So we do £46.20, take away 35. Divide by the original is the amount it originally cost, which is £35. And then you just times this by 100. If you type all of this into your calculator, you'll get 32%. For this question, we're looking to find the mean number of goals. To do this, we first of all multiply the goals by the frequency. So 0 times 3 is 0, 1 times 12 is 12, 2 times 10 is 20, and 3 times 5 is 15. We can then add up this last column, which gets us a total amount of goals of 47. Then we need to divide this by how many matches there were, which is the frequency column. If we add this column, we get 30. So we do 47 divided by 30, which gets you 1.57. I've rounded this one to 2 decimal places. In this question, we need to complete the table for y equals 2 take away 2x. We've been given some x values, and we need to work out the corresponding y values. So we'll start with x equals negative 2, and do 2 take away 2 lots of x. So it's 2 take away 2 lots of negative 2. Now if you type this into your calculator, you'll get 6. So we can add that to the table. Now they already did negative 1 for us, so we'll move on to 0. So it's y equals 2 take away 2 lots of 0, which gives us 2. So we can add that to the table. Then we'll move on to 1. So y equals 2 take away 2 lots of 1, which gives you 0. Add that to the table. And finally, when x is 2, y equals 2 take away 2 lots of 2, which is negative 2, and add that to the table. We can now use the table to draw the graph. So if we look at the coordinate pairs like this, one of the coordinates is at negative 2, 6. So we can plot that. And then we've got negative 1, 4. And then 0, 2, and then 1, 0, and then 2, negative 2, and then 3, negative 4. Once you've done all of these, you can join them up. In this case, it is a straight line, and you're done. In this question, we're told that triangle ABC is isosceles. This means 2 of the sides are the same, and also 2 of the angles are the same. Given side AC and BC are the same length, the missing angle at the top, BAC, is also 65 degrees. If we now add these two 65s together, so 65 add 65, which gets you 130, and then take this away from 180, because that's the total of a triangle, 180 take 130 gives you 50 degrees. So the other angle in the triangle is 50 degrees. Now we've been asked to find angle DCE, which is vertically opposite this 50 degrees. Therefore it's also 50. And that's the answer to the question. The probability that Tala wins against Alicia is 0.2. So if we do 1 take away 0.2, we find out the probability he loses is 0.8. So we can add that to the tree diagram. Now we're also told the probability he wins against Carly is 0.7, so if we do 1 take away 0.7, we find the probability he loses is 0.3. So for the second part of the tree diagram, we can add 0.7, 0.3, and again 0.7 and 0.3. For part B, we need to find the probability that he loses both games. This means he loses the first game and also loses the second game. So we multiply these probabilities. 0.8 times 0.3 is 0.24. For the first part of this question, you should know that there are 1,000 grams in a kilogram. So if you do 3,900 divided by 1,000, you get 3.9. So the first one is actually equal. For the second one, we probably want to convert the hours into minutes. Since there are 60 minutes in 1 hour, we can do 3.2 hours times 60, which gets you 192 minutes. This is less than 200 minutes, so we want a less than sign. For the last question, you need to know that there are 10,000 square centimeters in 1 square meter. It's not 100, because it's not meters to centimeters, but meters squared to centimeters squared. So if we do 3 times 10,000, we find out that 3 square meters is the same as 30,000 square centimeters. Now this is clearly bigger than 300, so we need a greater than sign. You should know that any number to the power 0 is equal to 1, and if not, you can try it on your calculator. This means m to the power 0 is also equal to 1. For part B, we're going to start with the top of the fraction, b to the 4 times b to the 7. When you multiply like this, you add the indices, so 4 add 7 is 11. Then we've got over b squared, and when you divide, you subtract the indices, so 11 take 2 is 9, so the answer is b to the power 9. For part C, we need to expand this bracket. This bracket is actually x take away 3 times by itself. So we'll do x times x, which is x squared, x times negative 3, which is negative 3x, negative 3 times x, which is negative 3x, and negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. We've got some like terms here that we can collect, so you get x squared, take away 6x, plus 9. For part D, we need to factorise. If you look at the last term here, we need to find all of the factor pairs of positive 20. You've got 1 in 20, 2 in 10, and 4 in 5. But you've also got the negative pairs, negative 1, negative 20, negative 2, negative 10, and negative 4, negative 5. One of these pairs must add up to make negative 12, and it's this one here, negative 2, negative 10. So the brackets will be x take 2 and x take 10. In this question, we're told that in 2020, a car is worth £30,000. In 2021, though, it's worth 20% less. So to work out the amount in 2021, we take the previous amount and we need to reduce that by 20%. If you take off 20%, you're now left with 80%, since 100 take away 20 is 80. And to turn 80% into a decimal multiplier, you divide it by 100, which is 0.8. So we can just times this by 0.8, which gets you £24,000. Now we move on to 2022, where it's worth 10% less than 2021. So to get 2022, we take the amount in 2021, which was 24,000, but this time it's 10% less, so that's 90%, which as a multiplier is 0.9. And if you type this into your calculator, you'll get £21,600. Now in the question, Ethan says that between 2020 and 2022, the car lost 30% of its value. So we need to work out what happened between 2020 and 2022. Now if it lost 30% of its value, we could do 30,000, the original amount, times by 0.7, because that's finding 70%, which is the same as a 30% reduction. Now if you type this into your calculator, you'll get £21,000. So if it had lost 30% of its value, we'd be on £21,000 now. But we know that actually in 2022, it was £21,600. Since these amounts are not equal, we've now shown that Ethan was wrong. In this question, we have Peter and Wendy who are changing their money into euros. Let's start with Peter, who has £400, and the exchange rate is £1 equals €1.20. This means to go from pounds to euros we'll multiply by 120, and to go from euros back to pounds we'll divide by 1.2. So Peter has £400, so we're going from pounds to euros, so we do 400 times 1.2, which gets you €480. Now we'll move on to Wendy, who has $264. The exchange rate here is €1 equals $1.1. So to go from euros to dollars, we multiply by 1.1, and to go from dollars back to euros, we divide by 1.1. Since Wendy has dollars, we're going back to euros, so we divide by 1.1. So $264 divided by 1.1 gives you €240. The question wants to know how many euros they have in total, so 480 add 240 gets you €720. In this question, we need to write down the error interval for the height. We're told the height in the question is 3 centimeters, but to the nearest centimeter. So to get the error interval, we need to add half a centimeter and take half a centimeter from 3. So if we start with 3 and take away 0.5 centimeters, we get 2.5. And if we start with 3 but add half a centimeter, we get 3.5. For part B, we need to do the error interval for the area of the rectangle. It doesn't say the error interval for the width, but we'll need to find the error interval for the width first. We're told in the question the width is 9 centimeters, again to the nearest centimeter, so we can add half a centimeter on and take half a centimeter off. So the error interval for width is from 8.5 to 9.5. Now we need to consider the error interval for the area. To get the area, you'd multiply the width by the height. So to get the smallest possible area, we'll multiply the smallest height, 2.5, with the smallest width, 8.5. And this gives you 21.25. And to get the maximum, we'll take the maximum height, 3.5, and times that by the maximum width, 9.5, which gets you 33.25. For this question, we're going to rotate triangle T. So take some tracing paper, trace your shape T, and then it says about the origin, so put a cross at the origin, and also place your pen there. Then turn it around half a turn clockwise, and mark where it ends. And it says to label this triangle A. For part B, we need to do a reflection in the line x equals 1. So we'll trace the shape again, and then also draw on the line x equals 1. X equals 1 is a vertical line that goes through 1 on the x-axis like this. Then take your tracing paper, turn it over, and line up the line again, and you'll find out where it needs to go. So this is where triangle B goes. In this question, we're told 3 small cartons hold 660 millilitres. So if we do 660 divided by 3, we find out that 1 carton holds 220. We're also told the ratio of the amount in a small to large carton is 4 to 5. Now we know how much was in a small carton, 220. So we need to work out what we multiply 4 by to get to 220. Do 220 divided by 4 and you'll find out it's 55. So if we do 5 times 55, we find out that a large carton has 275. In the question, they ask us to find out how much milk is in 10 cartons, so 10 times 275 gives you 2,750. In this question, we have some simultaneous equations. We'll need to try and match up one of the letters x or y. I noticed that we have 3y and 9y, so I could multiply the first equation to make it the same as the second equation. So I'll write the second equation and leave it alone, but the first equation I'll multiply by 3. 5x times 3 is 15x, 3y times 3 is 9y, and 22 times 3 is 66. Notice now we have the 9y's matching. Since they're both positive signs, we can subtract the equations. 15x take 2x is 13x, 9y take 9y is 0, and 66 take 40 is 26. So 13x equals 26. If you do 26 divided by 13, you find that x is 2. Now we can pick one of the equations and substitute x equals 2 back in. I'm going to go for the second one. So 2x plus 9y equals 40. But x is 2, so I'll substitute the x for 2. So I have 2 times 2 plus 9y equals 40. 2 times 2 is just 4, plus 9y equals 40, and then take 4 from both sides. If you take 4 from the left, you get 9y, and if you take 4 from the right, you get 36. Now all we need to do is divide both sides by 9, and we'll get y equals 4. So x is 2, and y is 4. Thank you for watching this video, I hope you found it useful. Here are some suggested grade boundaries. Remember, we won't know the real grade boundaries until after the papers are all completed. Check out the video I think you should watch next, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. And good luck for your exams.